Hey guys, Jason DeLong with Heartland Homes KC. Hope you're having a great week. Talking with Drew again today. Welcome to have him on talking about a little market update as we get going in this summer season.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, as always, Jason, pleasure to be here. And yeah, definitely ready to have my questions answered as to what's going on in the Kansas City market right now.
Absolutely, man.
So, first question I have for you is currently, what's the state of the Kansas City market? Are we starting to kind of transition back to more of what we could call a normal summer market where things are heating up and people are wanting to get out and about with the nice weather? Or is it still kind of a slower market due to somewhat the social distancing and stuff still applying?
It's starting to, like you mentioned earlier, you saw in the news that the Missouri is fully opening back up, and you're starting to just see that over the last week. But some of the sellers that didn't want to list the last couple months during our spring market are coming on now. So I think it's going to be a very unbalanced market. Still a lack of listings and a lot of buyers out there. But then you're going to get this influx of houses come on the market. So it might balance out maybe towards the end of summer, but it's still it's the market's on fire, and sellers are definitely benefiting from that. And it's just the buyers, it's tough. Things are going so quick, and you got to be quick on your feet. And really, like, one thing I want to talk about is just preparation of your offer and your financing before you even step the door. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And I actually want you to go elaborate a bit more for me on just exactly what. So you mentioned like a lack of houses on the market currently.
Yep.
So could you dive a bit more into that for me, Jason? Just elaborate, and then as well, how is that lack of inventory on the market currently affecting one, sellers, and how's it benefiting them, and two, how's it affecting buyers?
Right. So, I mean, there's been a lot happening in Kansas City the last couple of years. So we've had, a lot of companies, and I mean, we're right smack dab in the Midwest. So people are starting to figure that out, whether, if they travel, during the week, airfare is less because it's shorter flights. Logistics wise, companies can ship from here a lot easier. So companies have been moving in, which means people are moving in. So we've kind of been on a housing shortage for a while. And it's just more, kind of visible now. This pandemic hit, and our typical spring market, where sellers, say come on March, a lot of people are prepping for that. And right when this hit, they just backed off because they either didn't want people in the house or just really didn't know what was going to go on, what was going to be the next step. And, could have been their jobs, whatever. So just all that together, we're just a lack of housing. So, builders can't build fast enough. And then just, lack of just the resale houses coming on the market.
Yeah, absolutely. And then are you starting to see a rise in housing prices at all with, again, that lack of inventory and stuff of that nature?
Yeah. Yeah, we are. And right now, especially over the last probably month to 2 months, it's a supply and demand, and they can only go up so much, because you have to obviously get the appraisal done on the house that the lender requires. So, the past sales have to support, the comp. So, it's in smaller increments, but at the same time, it seems like there's some more cash out there that you got some of these cash buyers coming in, and those are jumping up some of the comps which support the appraisals down the road. So percentage wise, I would say we're seeing probably like a 5 to 8% increase in price over the last probably 6 months.
Nice. That sounds pretty good for me as a homeowner. Nice extra
Yeah,
5 to 8%.
right.
With there being multiple offers likely, what does that look like for sellers right now? What advice would you give to sellers about?
Yep. So I'll probably talk about both buyers and sellers, just because they kind of intermingle. It's tough on both sides, really. I mean, uh, and that's when a buyer hires an agent. That's kind of their job to prep them. Before even walking in the door. Like look at their financing, see how that's set up, and kind of how to build your strongest case as a buyer. So your offer looks better. When you do present it to a seller. Um, so, I mean, that's kind of a whole another topic in itself. But I mean, you really just like anything else. I mean, if you're going applying for a job, you want your resume to look the best. So, the same thing when you're putting an offer on a house. I mean, it's just, this day and age of like dot loop and DocuSign. Um, it's so easy just to like pass documents off. Hey, sign here, click here, do this. And a lot of buyers really have no idea what they're signing or reading. Um, so it's really comes down to the agent's job to kind of coach them through that and just make them look the best they can on paper, because that's all the seller's looking at. But on the seller's side, I mean, it's not fun for them either. I mean, we've got two right now where we've got 3 offers on one and 4 on another, and we'll probably end up with more than probably double that before the end of the day. And it just it's not always the highest price. I was telling them, I mean, uh, when buyers have to make this quick of a decision, you have more fallout. After a day or two, they might go back for inspections. The buyer's like, oh, you know what, this looks a lot different than when I first walked in the door. So you've got more fallout, and that's the last thing as a seller you want. You get under contract, a good price, you're happy, and then 2 days later it just falls apart, and you got to put it back on the market, go through the whole showing process again, and everything else. So I think you just look at all the offers and see the strongest one, pick out the strongest one. It might not be the highest price, but maybe more down payment, or just shorter closing time. So there's a number of different factors to look at, but it's not always about price.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's not all about price, but price does help.
It does. It does.
Absolutely, Jason. Well, that's it for my questions today. So I appreciate you having me on as always. It's always a pleasure to join you and get some news on what's going on in the Kansas City market.
Absolutely.
Perfect. Any closing comments about or anything else I should say you want to mention about the market?
Yeah, I would say, I mean, I love having these conversations with, if you're a buyer or a seller, I mean, reach out and be happy to chat about it. I mean, I had a buyer we just started working with last week, and she'd already kind of done her homework and reached out to 2 lenders, but they were both online and, kind of approved her, but she really didn't understand things. So I hooked her up with one of our local lenders, and he brought her in the office and kind of broke everything down. And man, she walked out of there like super happy, just like she had a stronger knowledge of where she was at and what her options were and everything else. So I think as a buyer, that's what you need to do. But yeah, reach out, and I'd love to talk to anybody, either side.
All right, perfect, Jason. Well, I appreciate you again having me on, and we'll hopefully see you on another one of these soon. All right.
All right, buddy. Have a good weekend.
You too, Jason.